if y'all want to start making your way over to
I have to turn this
we're
on
just gonna
myself.
get started
Nice.
here shortly.
There's 10 seats left. Grab them.
Last chair.
Kind of hard to tell if I'm Hello, live stream. Hello, maybe Dan. Cool. I think we're ready. Is that one already broken?
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple more seats up here too if anyone wants to come.
Seats
squeeze
in
up
the front. If anyone
seats
wants
in
to
the
grab
front.
them.
Yeah.
Vince is waving his hands. He needs friends.
All right. Welcome, welcome to our 10th official meetup.
DATLAB 10.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so wild to think back to even just doing one of the first meetups and Lyle and I just kind of brainstorming, just, getting a projector and getting a couple people in a room to share projects. And it's really incredible to just see all of your lovely faces here tonight, and really hope that this could be an opportunity for you all to meet one another. And like our friend Pablo said really, really nicely too, just like that this can be a seed for a lot of collaboration for you all. And yeah, really special. Wanted to give some thanks also for some of the organizing as well. Huge shout out to ZeroSpace. Like, thank you for hosting us here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Looks a little bit different here.
Yeah.
It's a new space.
Eric Chang has been amazing. We stayed here pretty late last night doing a bunch of setup, getting everything all rigged. And yeah, thank you also, John, also for offering the space. And Trey Long's going to give us a little intro shortly as well. Yeah. Also wanted to give a huge shout out to Derivative as well for supporting the events. Also from early on. That's been crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to hand it over to Trey Long for a quick little intro also about some of ZeroSpace as well.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight on a sweltering July evening. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming to the 10th meetup. ZeroSpace, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a 60,000+ square foot production studio. We have virtual production wall, we have motion capture, volumetric capture. Essentially, the idea is we have all these emerging technologies under one roof. We get to create novel integrations and then present those as work to our clients and also to the community like yourselves. So we're super excited to have you all in our space. We use TouchDesigner in nearly every project we do. We love the tool, myself included, personally, having used it on a bunch of my own work. And I've also wanted to give a huge shout out to Torrin and Lyle for sort of taking this TouchDesigner meetup to basically the 1 year mark now, because I was there since the first one. And it's great to be able to bring it to a space like here where we're so interested in emerging technologies, connecting sensors, processing, novel types of displays. So yeah, always happy to talk more about ZeroSpace. Come to me afterwards. And I would like to hand it off to Torrin to introduce our first speaker.
All right. We've got a really, really incredible lineup tonight. And for starters, we've got Andrew Sun, if you want to come on up.
We've been trying to get Andrew to do something with DATLAB for a while, but not fully based in NYC, but was here for the summer, and that was incredible. But we're already behind, so I'm not going to speak too much because I want to have time for some other stuff later. So, Andrew, take it away.
Yeah. I think one of the things, I feel like a lot of times artists will hear the combo of like math and programming, and that sounds super intimidating, but Andrew just has this really amazing way of working with math and also like making it approachable in a way that just, I feel like, makes it available to a much broader audience, which is amazing. And also, seeing a lot of parallels of that in nature. So I feel like their work with math and computation, but to be able to produce these pieces that feel really inspired by nature has been, yeah, a huge influence on my end. So give it up. Huge round of applause for Andrew.
Hello.
Do you want a mic stand?
I don't know if this is going to hold it, actually.
Got you.
Hello? Wait. I think it's good. I think we're holding it. Okay. Awesome. Hi guys. My name is Andrew, and today I will be talking about parametric equations in TOPS, or texture operators. It's one of my favorite ways to make art.
I might have to hold it a little closer.
With mathematics. And is this good? Oh. Hello.
I think just being close to that'll be better. Yeah.
I don't know.
We're getting the mics sorted. Don't worry.
This is good.
Should be on. It's just the very top right here.
Oh, the on button. Okay, awesome. So, a bit of background, if you don't know what TOPS are, if any of you guys have been ever dabbling in TouchDesigner and you've come across this guy named Pakada12, that's basically what my art is. I learned a lot from him through TouchDesigner, and he's probably one of my favorite creators, and I would not be here today if it wasn't for him. Oh, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about me. I've been doing TouchDesigner for almost 2 years now. I started in September 2023, and it was something I picked up as a hobby. I still would consider myself this being my biggest passion, and I just make a lot of art using math equations. I don't think they're super crazy graduate level math. It's pretty high school stuff. I like to think of myself as a glorified graphing calculator. And yeah, I hope that what you guys can get from this presentation today is a bit more understanding on why mathematics is kind of a really fun way to make art. I teach math a lot. I did it as my part-time job when I was doing my undergrad at UBC, studying mathematics. And yeah. Anyways, so a little bit of backstory before I get into the meat of the presentation is with this image right here. I gave my first presentation on TouchDesigner last year, June 2024. And it was this presentation on jellyfish. And it was at this portion of the presentation where I really stopped and I was like, oh, this is not common knowledge. And I was at this point of the presentation, and there was this function top right here. And it's just a gradient, but as I'm giving this presentation, I confidently say, this is a circle, obviously. And I don't know, if you're not, oh, is this? Oh, hold on. I think the screen is frozen. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, great. Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is a circle, obviously. And like, obviously, this is not a circle. And like, even if you are someone who dabbles in comp sci or can, understand how math equations work, when you look at this image, it's not gonna immediately come to you that this is a circle. And it's like kind of really interesting to like think about, well, like, why is this a circle? And when people at that presentation were like really confused, I was like, okay, let me like try to figure out how to explain this gradient and a lot of what I do in TouchDesigner. But before we even get into that, I think the first thing that we should ask ourselves is, well, what is an image, right? What is a texture? And to me, a texture is simply just a method of storing information. And with most images, there's 3 channels, or like 4, but like I'm gonna stick with 3 because I don't really use an alpha channel. But there's the red channel, there's the green channel, and then there's the blue channel. And with these channels, essentially, you can label every single pixel. And you can sort of categorize that pixel of an image, say like a 20 by 20 pixel image, into 3 lists: the red channel, the green channel, and blue channel. And in TouchDesigner, we do that with normalized color data. So it ranges from 0 to 1. Conventionally, I believe it's usually 0 to 255, but in TouchDesigner, we have it normalized. And this is very, like, when I found out about this, I was like, wait, this is like kind of awesome, because like a red channel, a green channel, a blue channel, like what else can we associate with that? Like, we can also say that these are coordinates in 3D space. We could just say, oh, the red is the x, green is the y, and the blue is the z. And so you can end up with these fun little graphs of your image. And even though this is a 20 by 20 pixel image, you can go as crazy. But all you need to know is that every single pixel is a point. So we end up getting 400 points of normalized color data plotted in 3D space. And when I discovered this, I was like, okay, this mapping between an image and 3D space is really, really fun. And so I asked myself, like, what's the reverse? And to me, the reverse is, okay, well, how can we draw something in 3D space and then get the color? And my discovery was parametric curves. And so before we even get into parametric curves, we should talk about functions. And functions are just a way to put an input, right, and then get an output. I like to think about it as a conveyor belt. And so this function is f of x is equal to x squared. And our input, we can think of it as our red channel. And we plug in x equal to some number. Right now it's going from 0 to 1, and it's just growing. But you should notice that our red channel is going from, it's going from 0 to 4. And then our green is growing at x squared the rate. So when we're at 4, we're at 16. And essentially this mapping, we can display it as a gradient. And so this gradient right here, if you just sort of keep an eye on the top of the texture right here, the image, it maps directly to the first index of, or the first row of our table. And so here, right, we see that as our image grows in size, like the values being from 0 to 1, the more yellow it gets. And hopefully this makes like a bit of intuitive sense because when you mix red and green, you get yellow. So at the very top of this image, we're getting values that are like red is 1, and then green is even, like it's also 1. And what we can do also is we can split the texture into its corresponding colors. And so this time around, instead of mixing it, we're just separating it. And hopefully, it's very subtle, but what you can notice is that this red gets brighter, not as fast as this green. Like this green goes a bit, like it gets brighter a bit quicker. And the reason why is because this rate of growth of red is x, and then this rate of growth of green is x squared. And so that's where the gradients come from. It's this slow but consistent growth. And so, well, what does that look like as a graph? Well, as a graph, what we're doing is as we're sort of scrolling downwards, our pixel is representing a space in 2D coordinates. And that position can be represented as a parametric curve. And a parametric curve is basically separated into, I guess, like 3 parts? Yeah. So the first part is the functions. So we say that our red is a function x of t. Our green channel is our y of t. And our blue channel is our z of t. And so from there, we also have our range of t, which is from 0 to 1, and then our graph down here. And yeah, so right here we have our image, or our texture as like a parametric curve gradient, and then here I split it up into its 3 corresponding channels. And so for this one, our blue channel is completely black because we've defined it as so. And once we are able to do that, I think we can really break down a lot of gradients in TouchDesigner. And the most common one, the most common parametric curve in TouchDesigner, to me, is the ramp top. And the ramp top is just a linear interpolation, y equals x, but in all 3 channels. And so what you get is you get this straight line that kind of just points into the space of 1, 1, 1. And yeah. But we don't need to keep our equations so simple. And we also don't need to keep our t domain from 0 to 1. We can change it up and give our red-green functions more complex functions. And in this case, I've decided to go with the cosine of t and the sine of t from 0 to 2 pi. And if you know any trigonometry, that's essentially the equation of a circle. And the same thing goes, as we scrub through t, we're going downwards. And when we go downwards, we're sort of picking out that one individual point around that curve. And this is fun because, well, now you can quite literally go like as crazy as you want, and you can make as many like fun curves. And not only do you get something goofy on the right-hand side, but you also get something very, very pretty, at least in my opinion, like just like a really interesting texture, which is like a bunch of random colors and it's like pattern. And yeah, to me, I think that that's like the association is like really fun. Like you have 2 like 2 outcomes of art out of 1 creation. But so one thing that I think is like really interesting though is that these textures can hold multiple parametric equations. And what I mean by that is when I define this image to be a parametric equation or a parametric curve, right now, t, I'm only considering traveling t, right? And what I mean by that is t goes down vertically. No matter what point of this texture image that I start at and I go down, I'll always get the same circle. Like if I'm here and I'm going downwards, I'm gonna go and travel the circle. If I start a point like right here, it's gonna be the exact same thing because we have nothing defined for the horizontal direction. And so when I sort of like figured that out, I was like, okay, well that means that we can include another variable. And that variable will traverse horizontally. And so now, well, what happens if we decide to like multiply this entire image with another ramp, right? And so now, if you don't know trigonometry, the parametric equation of a curve, the radius is dependent on the value in front of the cos and the sine. And so for this version, we're just multiplying with u, and this u goes from 0 to 1 right here. And so as we're going outwards, we're increasing our circle. And this is one way that you can create a disk using a texture. And so the difference now is that, okay, if I start here on the image and travel downwards, that means I'm going to be traveling a smaller circle compared to if I'm starting here and traveling downwards. Now I'm going to go and trace out a bigger circle. And this is fun because now I get like an entire new dimension to like work with and sort of define my curves. But it's still in the same image. We're not like leaving that. And so now a lot of our creations can get even more complex because we can decide where to travel. And so for this one, right, I made a cone because my blue channel, I decided, okay, we're gonna travel the z-axis all the way to 2. And this is a new layer of complexity because now we can really like add whatever variables we want to our parametric curve, and we'll get like a pretty interesting 3D shape. And when you do something like this, it's still like contained in one image, and at least to me, it's pretty fun to sort of like think about the cases on like where you are. And so for here, I made the red circle being u, right? And then our t is that little blue path right here. And so right now, this animation is kind of going down like this. And yeah. And once I figured that out, I was like, okay, well, jellyfish are like pretty simple. I start off with a circle, I'm traveling down a curve. It can't be too hard. Yeah, so back to the cone. So what I thought was like, okay, well, if I have a method to sort of grow a circle out in one direction, then why don't we just start off from there? So I have a chain of circles that I want to grow out from that x-axis. So I just want these circles to follow this curve right here. And when I do that, I get this cone, just like we saw before. But then we can think about this a bit more and be like, okay, well, what if we don't want it to just go linearly? Let's make it a bit curvier. Well, then we can do that. And now the shape of the growth of the circle of each individual circle follows this curve. And that's our jellyfish head. Like, wow, that's so like straightforward to me. And then like, but like the bottom is like a bit too flat. So I was like, okay, well, what if we add a bit of noise to our starting circle? Well, that means now every single individual curve has a different ending point based off of the noise. And now we have like a bit more of like an organic spread that we might see from nature. And down here is what that starting circle looks like when we add that noise. And so, well, we can also get the tentacles. And the tentacles, we're just still going to take that original circle. But what we can do is we can consolidate all the points into certain areas, right? And by doing that and then adding a bit of noise to each position of that point, we can then do the exact same thing, which is make the U direction travel down the Z-axis. And we get these little line strips. And when we get that, well, what we can do is we can add more more noise onto the tentacles, and then we get like these tendrils. And so now we have our jellyfish. It's completed. It's 2 textures, and that's it. And yeah, and then you add them together, and you get a little jellyfish. And so you have your jellyfish on the right-hand side, which is the parametric curves, but then you also have 2 little images that represent that jellyfish. And I think that's really, really great because, well, if you know anything about instancing in TouchDesigner, because I'm playing around with parametric curves and the way that they are defined is down, horizontally and then downwards, you can use ramps to your advantage because everything is sequential. Everything is ordered. You don't need to think about like any check any conditions or ordering. It's already all organized from you because parametric curves start from 0 to some ending point. And that's really fun because what you can do is you can really, like, it makes coloring and scaling your point clouds really straightforward. If I want so here's my scale for this jellyfish. If I want my the tendrils of my jellyfish to not intersect, then I'll just make this part like black so that there's a 0 scale. And then now I have like 1 here, so they're all visible. And then I have a little taper down here so that they kind of shrink down. And then what you can do then is like if you want some wired effects of like electricity, all you have to do is like push your pixels downwards. And yeah, to me, I think it's just like a very intuitive, straightforward way. As long as like if your point cloud is organized, then everything else is organized, and you don't actually really need to think about like, oh, if this if this point is like too close to a center, then we can't color it a certain color, right? And yeah, and then here is like the head where I'm making the scale go downwards, and it's like growing and then shrinking, but then I'm also making the color go upwards. And because of this like interference pattern that's happening from the scale going downwards and the color going upwards, you get like a really, really pretty twinkling effect. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you learned something today. That's my QR code if you want to support me on my socials or on my Patreon or check out my YouTube channel. I'm also very passionate about teaching TouchDesigner mathematics. Hopefully you could tell from that presentation I just gave. But yeah, so if anyone, I really would like to do a workshop before I leave New York City. So if anyone knows any venues, please let me know. And also, I'm also trying to become a professor at anywhere teaching creative technology. So if anyone can help me, you know, like navigate that, or like I would love to just grab a coffee and just like try to like, yeah, that's my dream. But yeah, thank you so much.
Any questions from the audience? Yeah. Sure.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's really bright. Oh my God! You've got to be kidding me. Okay, hold on.
What'd you say? What was the question?
Oh, like my QR code is broken apparently.
Oh.
So.
Do it live. Oh.
Don't look at my network. It's ugly and terrible and not organized at all.
I mean, you just set yourself. I mean, it looks a lot like mine, honestly. Anyone else have any questions? I'm going to walk over to you with a microphone. Or trying to jog.
Those are my socials.
Do you plan on reapproaching this? Hey, Andrew. Hi. Hey.
Hi.
Do you plan on reapproaching this with POPs?
Um,
or has that made any sort of impact on like your own research or the way you want to present it?
So to me, as of right now, I haven't done that much. I think one of the things that is charming to me about TouchDesigner is the fact that you can program visually. POPs kind of like takes a bit away from that, but I am very excited because there's been a lot of good tutorials, and it sounds like collision detection has been a lot more optimized, and I'm like really excited for that. But for now, not really, no.
Hey, first of all, like super inspiring. I love how like elegant it is, and a lot of it goes over my head, and it inspires me to think of it like in terms of audio too, like how this kind of like the parameters of audio can maybe like be used for this. Anyway, yeah, I was like very inspired by it, but I'd definitely love to talk to you after because I have access to a venue and I can get you in touch with some people that like ex-professors if you want to like just have a conversation. But,
Awesome.
But yeah, not really much of a question.
Thank you.
Anyone else? One more question, and then also if our second presenter wants to come up as well. Ooh, everyone's at the front. Nice.
This is your request. Can you walk through this presentation TouchDesigner file, please?
I mean, like, it's. I'll just do like something really quickly. It's a bunch of components, containers, and then it's a switch, and then it's controlled by my Q and E, and then each one of them is using a bunch of op viewers, and yeah, it's just PowerPoint in TouchDesigner because I don't like to do anything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All of them are live. Everything's live. I'm not recording anything. I make like posters and like my friend Freya, like she's a graphic designer, and like I've like shown her. I'm like, hey, I made this in like this like thing in TouchDesigner. And she's like, why don't you just use Figma? And yeah, no, I love TouchDesigner.
Woohoo! Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Do a little music in the meantime.
I dream of you, moment. I can feel
I think it's just like that.
you there. I can
Guess test.
sometimes there's a shift in my motion. I can keep you near, just in motion. Can I count on you?
Check. Yeah, it worked.
Can I count on you? You're my only virtue. In everything I
but not be the first.
These are
I think I am. Yeah, we are. And then this should be. Make sure it's up. It's not. Oh, I'm glad we checked. Oh, it's not on mirror mode, that's why. Windows, bro. Let's see what's up with that. I don't think so. Did it? Oh, it never got landed. That's right. That'll cause it. That will do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, really. And did he do 4K? Do you know? Sweet, that's perfect. Oh no. Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, let me work on getting that to scale real quick. That looks right. Cool. Probably good then. Oh, that'll be fun. I might fully mirror then. Let's see. I'm gonna fully mirror actually. Yeah, that's gonna be easier.
we're going to get started here. So next up, we've got Ethan and Ellie from Matterforms Design. Really, really special to be able to have them here tonight. They've actually traveled all the way from Utah. It was super lucky. They were actually doing a gig in New York. Hopefully, maybe you get to see a little of it behind the scenes. I don't know. We'll see. Ask me. Yeah, maybe ask after. But it's amazing. It's been really incredible to see their background also from film and music, and also branching out from there into sort of the interactive media space. And I'm really excited to get to hear from them tonight. So please give a huge round of applause for Matterforms.
Is this mic alive? All right, I'll just use this guy. Hey, everybody. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. There we go. All right, cool. Oh, darn. There we go. Awesome. Well, just want to say hi. Thank you guys so much for having us. It's been such a blast getting to be in New York again. And thank you to Torin also for inviting us to be part of this. This has been just super fun to get to do this. So yeah, my name is Ethan.
I'm Elisa, or Ellie, either way.
Either way.
I'll try this one.
I'll use that guy, yeah. There we go. All right, cool. So yeah, we are a creative design studio focused on forming immersive events and virtual production systems and new media art. My background is in primarily video engineering, system engineering, but I come from like lots of live event stuff, lots of figuring out how to do it the wrong way and the right way. Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, my background is in live events as well. That's actually how we met before we got married. And then also audio production. And my primary background is in composing for film and TV. So some of the live interactive stuff with TouchDesigner is a little bit newer for me. So I'm learning along with you guys tonight, which is awesome. And it's fun to support my husband in the way that he spearheaded things for our company.
All right, so a little bit about us just in general. We base a lot of our stuff off of our name. That's really ultimately just finding things that matter and what is the form of how those things come together. We want to conjoin great people, great experiences, great equipment, whatever it is. We just really want it to matter ultimately. So jumping into a couple of our projects, this was a really fun one we got to do for Louis Vuitton through K2 Agency. And this was a big undertaking from a technical standpoint because they had, 60 or 70 total video files that needed to be remapped, reorganized, and media managed like crazy. We created a visualizer system just to make sure the artists, what they envisioned happened exactly right. Because we had, like I said, 60 artists. I don't get to talk to those artists directly, so we're able to interface and create like previous systems where it's like, hey, we're actually going to physically build these out in a visual system like that. This is another really fun project we got to do that's in Australia. And this is a really large 66 megapixel LED ceiling. So this is 8 4K displays coming out of just one computer, which is a really fun project. This one's Perma, if you guys want to go see it. Suncorp building in Melbourne. Go check it out. Then another really fun project too with good friends of ours from Astro Shapes. And this was an AR experience. This was very systems heavy, so we actually designed the playback and like camera control system for this. So we had 8 halftime shows, multiple camera positions, which was super wild, but we had all of these working in real time. And it was basically a game of tug of war where you would race against the other half of your team, the other team across the other side of the stadium, and they would button mash on their phones in order to be able to make their side boost forward. So really fun interactive game, but also really fun for deployment. Let's see, there we go. And with that, a lot of our systems, and we'll be debuting one of our tools here, really depend a lot on the engineering back end. So we use Companion on almost every job that we do, and we'll be showing off a cool tool about that soon. This one is really fun. I know you love this project.
Yeah,
so.
I love talking about this project. There you go. We're just going to switch a room. So basically, we got to be a part of this project for Red Hat Summer in Colorado last year, and we had to work with the client. They had like 200 or something prompts they wanted us to run through with AI to turn the guests into different images or different characters, which was kind of wild. So we had to kind of like cut that down a bit. But what I loved so much about this was that we used time of flight sensors. So for all of the guests who came to engage with the interactive part of that, it didn't matter as far as accessibility goes. If they were in a wheelchair or anything like that, they weren't limited by the type of sensors that we use. So that was so fun just to see how interactive people would get and how excited guests were when they would come and see like, wait, I can participate in this as well. And I think that was kind of eye-opening for me as well to see just how important that is to make sure that the events that we're doing are accessible and inclusive for all types of different people. But this one was super fun. You can see kind of an example of what I'm talking about is the umbrella up here. It keeps getting like rendered out as the Death Star in different ways, which is fun. But yeah, this was a super fun project to work on.
Yeah. And let me see. And also, huge thank you to Lyle for this Stream Diffusion plugin. There we go, Stream Diffusion plugin. Sick. Hey, what's up? We could not have done this without him. He was also really helpful. This is like right when this had come out for the most part. He was really helpful in helping me debug some stuff and also just beta test some little pieces because we could not do it without him, truly. And I'm sure a lot of us are in the same boat. This was a really fun project. I love automotive design and different parts to that. You'll see another project coming up soon. So this was a really fun interactive wall that we did as a presentation for Oilstain's HF11 reveal. Really cool supercar, but these guys are from the ground up. They really care about their product. So we were able to do this kind of VJ, DJ set for them that was really cool at their opening. And we also made this anti-photo booth for them that doesn't take your picture at all, and it covers your eyes. So that was really fun. That's part of their branding is they do X's over the eyes. So we really enjoy just kind of leaning into whatever the brand is. And then this is another one for Zinger. This is all lots of 3D design and spatial design as well. Lots of content.
Yeah, I think this one just makes me think of, for us, the importance of making digital twins for clients and helping them see when they have a vision, that's actually feasible, and here's exactly how, and this is how it's gonna look and feel for you when you walk into the space to the best of our ability. That unlocks a lot of magic we found with clients. So I think Ethan went above and beyond with his images for this one.
And as we all know, you cannot fix things in post in live events, so we want to make sure we fix them in pre as much as we can. Then also some VP stuff as well. We're in a really rad stage. I'm so glad to finally get to see it in person. Come from a background in that as well with 2020, changing up the world. So lots of very fun stuff. We did the engineering for Alter Ego, this really fun kind of crazy avatar singing show. And then in general, man, we just like to have fun and play around with a bunch of weird toys and figure out how to make things work. Ultimately, at the end of the day, experience is for you guys to remember as a attendee. So we want to make sure that it's memorable, it's fun, and it's engaging. And then one thing too is on our GitHub, you can find, it's linked in I believe our website. I'll make sure of that, but you can find it if you Google it. We have this really cool thing called Toolbox, and it's just a massive list of a bunch of different really cool links to things, or also hey, you want to know what the other competitors are to the one thing that you know about, you can find a bunch of stuff in there. So definitely would recommend checking that one out. And then here is a QR code. I hope it works. But yeah, that is kind of a general overview about us as a studio. I'll give you guys a sec. We're ahead of schedule. It's been a sec. Everybody good? Okay, cool. Come find me later. Now, I don't know where it went. It's not going to load the next slide. That's cool, whatever. That's hilarious. It's tool time. We made a really fun Tim Allen reference that didn't make it in the deck somehow. That's great. All right, cool. That's not right. See, can't fix it in post. Oh no. Cool. All right, so step one, companion controller. So this talk is mainly about tools. We want to talk about that, talk about kind of our reasons for making so many tools. The experience with the halftime show was super dependent on Companion. We had trigger zones, presets for cameras, media server switches, physical switchers, like all this stuff was controlled by Companion. And if you guys haven't seen Companion, what it is if you've ever tried to do something in TouchDesigner from scratch, you know how hard it is to control something hardware-wise. All of these devices are available for free, and they already have presets for making them work. So BitFocus Companion is amazing. I'm going to sing its praises till I die, and they're fantastic. So also, if you don't have a lighting console or you don't have TouchDesigner, you can just boot this up on your laptop, and you can just launch ArtNet and SACN like natively in the app for free. So you can just like hit media server takes on another system if they give you the patch sheet and never have a lighting console at all. So really cool working with that. So what is our plugin? So our plugin is basically an integration where it lives inside of TouchDesigner, and it automatically generates custom variables and buttons. And these buttons are able to physically switch on and off. But what's really nice is that if you press it on a Stream Deck, it also updates on the website. So we're able to get feedback from other operators working on the exact same system, kind of like a multiplayer. So what's really helpful is that we're actually able to go in here and we can do stuff like, let's say, zoom forward on a projector or back on a projector. And we can really quickly just click on stuff and click it a few times or even hold it down to make that projector zoom in and out for you. So you can do a ton of really helpful things without having to even like go into a web GUI. You just got to plug in the IP address and you're good. So highly recommend this software in general for that. But in Touch, let's say that you have a video switcher or you have something else hardware-wise you want to control, especially this type of venue really benefits from these types of automation tools because like that screen is on its own trigger. This screen is on its own trigger. So we want to be able to leverage things like that, and I could just click a button like this and click and change the input. So stuff like that's helpful, but it's even more helpful when in TouchDesigner you can just go in here, and I can drag and drop an LFO to press a button for me. So stuff like this, we have a post on Instagram that shows like what is it, an audio mixer kind of doing these wave effects. That's how we did it with this. Is it just launched up and down on every channel. So you can get really creative with it, have some fun. But I also wanted to show these custom variables, and these are really helpful because what I can do is I can just type in a reference, and that's going to update here. But in Touch, I'm actually able to go in and see how this custom variable right here is being updated automatically. So we can also pass text. So like you have a person coming into the space, they sign in with their name. We can actually like automatically hit and rename hardware devices for you. So it's super helpful for like a multi-viewer or generating like a GET request to another computer, but Touch doesn't have the easy ability to do that. Another huge reason to use this is that at the end of the day, if TouchDesigner goes down, you have a backup, and that's a physical button. So really important for us to always have an override capability for that. So that's Companion Controller. This one also has a setting for repair references. Definitely take note of that guy because that will fix when you regenerate these guys for you. So if I clear the controller, we lose all those parameters. I regenerate it, it'll automatically hold all of the custom bindings that you've just made. So worst thing ever is someone's like, hey, we updated something, and then you can't update it because they have a new file. It's going to break all your settings. So this avoids that. Very useful tool in there. And then another thing in here is the help. So this is also loosely based on Lyle's plugin for .simulate, but this is just like an HTML viewer. Would really recommend that for stuff in Touch as well. But here's a whole guide document on how to use the thing so that you're not confused about any stuff like that. And a funny Easter egg is you can load our website in this little guide, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, let's talk about the startup timer. So this is another tool. Use this on permos all the time, and this lets me basically automate things like pulses or switches on and off. So that let's say you go in, you have a sensor up in the ceiling, right? And you need it to turn on and off to reset to get it to reconnect in the mornings. Instead of having a person have to log in every morning and click it on and off, you can simply just add one of these operators and then just delay the timer by like 10 seconds or something. and then it'll automatically pulse once it hits that 10 seconds plus whatever 3.6 seconds. These are made so that at a distance you can also work on your network very easily. And what's really nice is that these actually show a graphical representation of less pixels equals less time, more pixels equals more time, just kind of fun. And no two operators will look the same, so at a distance you can also be like, oh, I know which one that is really easily. And that's this type of environment where you're like, hey, I just want to go in and click a button, and then it does the thing for me. So that'll be up on our Patreon really soon. I think that's pretty useful. And then this is another fun tool. So this is a automatic measurement system, and I'm going to have to mount this mic up, so one sec. Any of you guys ever seen that like Fred Armisen bit where he's like talking about drum sets? Like that right now. Okay, cool. So what's really helpful about this tool is that sometimes we get questions like, hey, how many feet of cable do you need? And that is always kind of hard to answer, because if they're like, we want it to go into this corner and around this corner, then how in the heck are you going to know that length? So you can just hold down Control and then automatically click on the GUI and then draw these little lines. And I can get back to front of house over here and then even go further up to the stage and give it some extra length right there. Perfect. I can turn off closed shape, and that's now a straight line, or whatever, a line. And we can really quickly find out what's the total length, and then even what's the area. Obviously, this is not something you'd want to calculate, but we now know it's 77 meters, so super helpful. We can also go into inches and feet, and we can also round the lengths. Another useful thing for this is also for things like projection screens. So let's say that your venue is asking for a question and saying, hey, what would happen if we did a projection on this? How much material would we need? We can really quickly just draw their hopes and dreams, which are always crazy, and close that shape. And now we know with an area how many square feet of physical material we might need for that. We can also just check like, hey, how much LED tape is this going to take? Stuff like that, super helpful. So this is one we use a lot just for generally finding out information, but also you can use this with noise and like objects, so you can actually like parent things to your hands and find out the angle of like your head to your arms and stuff like that. Kind of useful. I use this kind of stuff a lot for like between two shoulders, finding out the direction that somebody's facing, for instance. So this is also going to be up on our Patreon pretty darn soon. You can also change colors really easily, just like that. Make it awful to look at. Okay, motion blur. What's up, everybody? Hopefully has seen this at some point. Been like, why doesn't TouchDesigner have this? So this is a raw render. This is motion blur, and it's subtle, but if I pause it, you can see right here that we got lots of blur happening in this image. So I'm going to pop open my controls for that. And then we are going to enable the setup real quick. And this is probably going to become a little bit simpler, but I'm going to crank this till a ridiculous number. But essentially what we're doing is we're doing an optical flow system, and then we're doing a lot of GLSL on this to make it really smooth and turn out like an actual motion blur shader in like Unreal or Unity. So we have the ability to go in and actually QC what our motion blur vectors are. And this is super helpful because if you are creating something from scratch and you're like, I have no clue what I'm doing here, this looks pretty enough to get you at least some shares, so you just do that, that's fine. We can also do stuff like multiply it by the color, and this is kind of neat because I can actually turn on a background and you can just see like, this is kind of cool, I don't know. We can also do the vector debug, which I also really like, and this is a way for us to really quickly find out, hey, what's the bearing vector of these shapes? This stuff can also be really useful for other stuff. Like we can instance off of this UV map post. So things to think about, lots of fun in that one. Let me show you a couple of different examples with this real quick. Let me turn off this debug. Okay, great. Don't judge this network. It's not too bad, but it's a little clustery. So we are able to get things like the actual UV map from this, which is a vector map. We can also get a vector map that is normalized, which helps us do 0 to 1, just like Andrew was mentioning, and then also standard, which is positive only because you can't see a negative pixel visually. So this is just helpful to be like, is this working? Like, I have no idea. Or maybe you can do some fun stuff with it. But this system is cool because it needs to run a second camera. And what we have to do is we have to find out what the camera is upstream. So what I have here is I have the ability to actually relink. Oh, let me leave this highlighted. To actually relink the camera automatically. And what it's doing is it's looking up the chain as much as it can until it finds the render top. And then once it finds the render top, it says, what camera is that? And then it pulls that camera back and then puts it right here. So this is necessary in like a split, deferred rendering pipeline. So it's really handy that it does it all for you. We also have a really cool system with like geometry referencing, where right now it's looking at all the local stuff next to it. But we can actually do like parent, so it's going to go up a layer and look in the parent. But the best one is all geometry with tag. And what I can do is I can modify this guy and I can change what the tag is. And then in here, if you guys haven't seen this, if you if you just click on these and you click on show tags right here, if I go in and I add motion blur geometry tag in my network, oops, right here, then I'm actually able to make a direct reference to this anywhere in my network as long as I'm using the op find. So really, really useful method right there. But basically what this lets you do is it lets you like selectively choose which objects have motion blur and which objects don't have motion blur, which is pretty helpful. Like if you have a background that's like changing, but you don't want it blurring because it looks bad, that's why you would do it. So pretty helpful there. But in general, let me just show you like the camera freaking out because that's always kind of fun. Or no, never mind. Let's look at this. So we can also do really cool like graphic typography effects. Like in Photoshop, you see these tutorials of like really cool like circles bending and people's backs of their heads like blurring out into the distance. This lets you do that right here because we can actually override the motion vector path. And I'm doing that right here with just like this random UV ball. And that allows me to then go into the bottom one, which is red, and that's allowing us to override the vector path. So you guys can like make a bunch of crazy stuff like this, and now you can just make tons of interesting blur effects on top of your stuff. But it's different than LumaBlur because LumaBlur is just doing a circle and it's blowing it out from center. This is actually doing bearing vectors, so you have the ability to do really specific control. I'm sure people will have fun with that one. And also same with like noise. You can do some cool effects as well. And then lastly, here's the camera freaking out because we got to show that. And I don't think this is rendering the motion blur path, so one sec. Let's see. Yep, wasn't plugged in. My bad. Cool. So now, let me just pop this guy open. Oh, I hate these like default button sizes. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, pause. Look at that. That looks pretty decent, right? It's all right. So, we have the ability to also track with a camera, and that is one of the coolest effects. So this is not like limited in how you guys apply it to most things. It's limited in some ways, but let's see. We're going to replace the noise here. No. Here. Oh no, this is backwards. Also, if anybody hasn't used this yet, yeah, there you go. We're doing like the interstellar thing where it's turning with the object, right? But we're getting all this crazy blur happening in frame. And let me pause it so just so you can see that. So a little bit of tearing in the corners. I'm working on fixing that with like some GLSL as well. If anybody knows GLSL and motion vectors well, please talk to me. I need your help. I want this to be good. But anyways, it's really helpful because you can do lots of different cool effects with this. And like I said, you could break it, you can make it fun. But it is also just really nice to have as a real-time tool. And then I don't know if I have the file. Yeah, I'll find it later. If you want to see some like ridiculous like dancing balloon animals, then I have that on my phone. I can show you. But anyways, yeah, this has been a really fun project, and I've learned a lot about GLSL, and I would definitely recommend it. Just diving in. use cursor. It's sick, and it's totally worth getting you close. Sorry, I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like, just do it. But yeah, it's great. Also, if anybody doesn't know this, press add a little text or something. Just right-click on here, press Edit Contents. As long as you have set your preferences right to be your editor for cursor or whatever platform you want, you just go into Edit Contents, and now it's going to open that up and do a real-time one-to-one of that file. So you can actually edit Python from an external IDE. That's probably the wrong word. I don't even know. But then, you know, test hi, and then we save that, and it shows up in Touch immediately. So really worth it. And if you externalize as a file, that's even easier. So yeah, that's a lot of information. Thank you guys for sitting through. Yeah, thanks. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Got a question? Got some out here. I see you in the front. Go for it. Thanks.
So for the motion blur,
It requires the use of SOPs or POPs, which is really nice. We've actually got a system that's working with POPs really nicely using Quixel Megascans that I'm going to be releasing a tool for that as well, where you can import a Quixel model and then have it all run. But it being on a POP is like so much better, so much cleaner. It does currently need a render pipeline, so that's just fair warning for everybody. Also, transparency is iffy. I'm working on that as well, but just so everybody knows, you know, I don't want you being like mad or something. But yeah, it does require SOPs, and it also currently is PC only. I'm so sorry to everybody, but I think it's very likely that we're going to be seeing that not be the case really soon. So it's getting close. Yeah. Yeah, you bet. Go for it. Thanks. Yeah, good question. So in general, if anybody didn't hear that, oops, how far can you really get just like your basic ideas going with using LLMs for it? I would say best case scenario, use Claude in the way that I just showed. It's usually a lot easier. But look for places like you know, script DATs, script tops, like those types of ways are the best. GLSL is really good, but you're gonna have to do a couple of things to like make it work where you can control it from outside TouchDesigner. There's some great tutorials on that. I think Josh is a really great tutorial on it, I want to say. But yeah, definitely that. And then in general, wait around for Lyle's presentation. He's got cool stuff that he would probably be able to answer better than I could. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Any other questions? Sweet. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Feel free to come find us afterwards. Thanks, man. Need to show
screen test. Ooh, wow. HD. I forget how you do that. That matches this. No, my TV frame. No, it's just slow. I'm just not sending any content yet. Now I should be sending. I see that. Hello.
It wasn't seeing it here though. Okay, now I can see it.
Sweet, that's good.
The suspense is real. Sorry. I think I'm coming in the direct line now. should I use one of these? Or am I on? Is this on? Yeah, I don't need it.
All right. So this is a really special moment. This has been at least a year in the making. I think Lyle had started working on this
Yeah, maybe about a year.
in September. And it's been really incredible to see Lyle just do these like deep dives. You know he'll be in like a LOPS rabbit hole when you'll get a message from him at like 2 or 3 in the morning. He's like, "You're not gonna believe what I just made." And we'll get all these updates. And
4 in the morning.
It's been, we've gotten to see like a little sneak peeks over the years, and I'm so excited for you all to get to see the official launch of LOPS. So please, please give a huge round of applause to Lyle.
Thank you, Torin. And again, thank you, ZeroSpace. This has been such a cool event. Also, the presenters so far have been amazing and inspiring, and a bunch of stuff. A bunch of new aspects of TD I haven't even been thinking about, but let me try to see if I can get my stuff. So, yeah, I've been working on a pretty big project, probably definitely the largest thing I've ever put out, but it's called LOPS. It's a new family for TouchDesigner, a new operator family. We'll get to what they do and what you can do with them as well in a little bit, but I'm going to go over like kind of my initial thoughts, kind of where we're at with this whole, like it has to do with LLMs, so we're going to be talking about the models and such. But before I get started, there's a QR code that I want to show on the screen. And this will be, I think it's called Slido, but basically you'll scan this and follow along with the stuff, and it should be popping up there, so everyone can scan that. And if you want to give me comments or questions or feedback or like ideas for how you would use this, what you think about it, hate messages, maybe not a ton of those, but any sort of feedback, throw it there for the live chat. But yeah, so a bit of history as far as like the AI space, kind of like LLM basics. Let's see if I can actually reset. LLMs, as we know it, are black boxes, stochastic token generation word calculators that are like these extremely complex billions of parameters in this like thing that are so opaque and we don't really know what's going on. They're also made by humans and trained on all of our data. But the end result, or the end result about like 2 years ago, was something that basically looped text tokens and text data into a machine and spit out the most probable next token, which might be like a period or a small chunk of the word or the full word itself. But these are great. And then all the humans that have been using them have found out a couple key tricks that make them really handy. And this is what I'm going to kind of focus on. And hit the right control. So there was the idea of the chat UI came out, and that was basically what gave people the ability to really interact with these models in a helpful way. LLMs were trained inherently to respond to the user in a way that follows the instruction. So we gave them special tokens that is like, this is the start of a user message, and that's pretty noisy data, maybe demanding something, and then the start of the assistant message is what it generated, and that would be, like in this example, giving me a full recipe just with emojis, which is super handy. Then there came out tool usage, JSON mode, function calling, there's a lot of names for it, but that basically gives the model the ability to work in a specific schema and inject data in a way that's handy. The most common use case for this is when ChatGPT or something opens up a code interface and starts making like a website for you. In this, I asked for an amazing website, and it gave me something. But to the model, it's just text, so it looks like this. And that's super handy because it actually can let the model not just generate something that you have to put into your own program or whatever. Then there's the chain of thought and the thinking models. So a lot of people realized you can make the LLMs so much better by just telling them to like think a little bit. Like, hey, spend a little bit of time to like create a plan and then do that plan rather than just doing the first thing that comes to mind. This was handy, and you can see in this visual there's just like some of these things like wait and first and some of these things. So you're actually fine-tuning the model to second guess its way of thinking. This turned into, instead of prompting the chain of thought, actual thinking models. And then there was a new token that was introduced that was like, hey, you can talk or you can think now. And then we trained the model to actually brainstorm a little bit. And that's what's happening on screen here. Current tools and UIs that people use, a lot of them are very, very development focused and code heavy. A lot of them like this, which is Claude Code. Oh, come on. Claude Code runs in like the CLI, so you're actually opening the terminal or the command window and typing directly into the computer, which I've done a little bit of like the CLI Claude coding stuff, especially with MCP servers and all of that running in Touch. I'll get to that. But currently the UIs are kind of clunky, and like there's also Cursor, which is awesome, which is an IDE, which is like what people write code in. But all of these things, you kind of have to know what you're doing with code, and you have to want to do the things with code. What I'm excited about to show off and to release, the talks isn't available yet, but in like an hour it should be, is LOPS. So there's a couple operators in here. The main one is like this agent operator, which is kind of your access point to the LLM itself. You can give it tools, you can define these things, run JSON mode, or do some of these things. So I'm basically trying to break some of these like cutting edge research techniques and boil them into like accessible things for the developer, researcher, artist type that might already be familiar with working with TouchDesigner, and now you can do all these things in a environment that you're familiar with. I think I have a couple more little fun things. No, that's basically it for that. So I turned the DAT into a chat table. So there's the role, the message, the ID, and the timestamp. This is kind of a simple way to store knowledge and like store context for the LLMs. And then there's the agent, which, like I said, is your general access point to the LLMs. I'm going through some of the different parameters, typing a little message, saying yo, and it responds back. This is with Gemini 2.0 Lite. Also supports streaming. I have like over 400 models that you can get access to through OpenRouter, but there also is Ollama and LM Studio, which run locally, and then Gemini and OpenAI are supported. You can also get the Claude and the stuff through OpenRouter, but I don't really directly do the Anthropic stuff, but yeah, that's the agent. I'll show off what it can actually do in a little bit. There's the idea of LOPS tools. So a lot of the operators you can see in this third page on the agent, you get to drop tools, and it's like a sequence, so you can add as many as you want. And then these give the agent the ability to do things in your network. So one that's pretty powerful is the tool parameter. And this gives the agent the ability to set parameters on any custom operator that has custom parameters. So you can imagine creating a system that you define a couple things, a couple slides or something, and then you tell an agent to be setting the slides live when you're presenting about LOPS. Another thing is like DAT editing. So that's the tool DAT. Fall AI gives you access point to pretty much any cloud-based image or video generation thing. Then, yeah, search is like Google search, but for the model, also for yourself. These are all fully functional, like human interfacing operators, and most of them are agent interfacing as well. Why TD? Well, it's what I like to work with, totally, solely, and exclusively. So it's a bit, I'd say like just a decision I made. But TouchDesigner also has the ability to be the brain. So this is me controlling with my voice via Gemini Live, Blender via an MCP server. And if any of those words make sense, you're going to like LOPS. But, oh, it went back. All right. Yeah, I can talk about music generation. So I've got two operators, A-Step and Lyria. One is a cloud-based streaming real-time thing, so you can change the prompt and adjust some of the settings on the fly. You can see I just started it there, and you can't hear it. I don't have audio on this guy, but there's also A-Step, which no, I don't know where I am. I got to turn this guy off. A-Step is this one. This is a local open source music generation technique that's like Suno or Udio, so it can do the lyrics and generate long songs, but it's so fast. And you can also ask for instrumentals, and it's really fun. That was it generating a 30-second song in like 2 seconds. I do use a 4090, so some of these things are a little faster on my machine, but LOPS isn't, like Stream Diffusion is pretty kind of like GPU heavy. LOPS is running on my MacBook now, and I'm doing a whole system, which I'll show in a sec. But there's the tools. Here's a fun thing with Gemini Live, where I was telling it to rearrange the network and place operators, and I think I'm basically now like just make the circle bigger, and it's telling me like, I don't know if I want to do that. And I'm just like, no, just make it bigger. I'm just testing the tool for you to move operators. That's all I'm doing. And then I ask it to, where is it? Maybe this one. Then I say add 30 more and make it a huge circle. So now this is, I think, 40 operators. And yeah, it's super fun to see because I think it's calling the tools one after another. That's why you get like the animation. In theory, it should be able to set all those at a time. So this is I have like my own new web browser component. The web browser's in the palette. I have a web viewer. I changed the name, I don't know. But that's in LOPS, and the agent can control that. So this is me asking the agent to, I think it starts on Google. Can I restart this video? Yeah, it starts on Google. I'm just typing to like show that you can type in. And then I'm running through the orchestrator, which is a multi-turn task orchestration LOP that you get the agent, you give it to the orchestrator, the agent has tools, and then you give the agent a task to run over so many rounds. And then I think this is like 15 rounds, but it makes it to the documentation site for LOPS, which LOPS is also fully documented. And it makes it in a couple rounds. It gets there, it goes to my site first. I'll have QR codes for those at the end, and then it gets to the documentation. These are like, I guess, demos that I recorded. We had someone mention GLSL shaders. So this is me like benchmarking different models against each other, doing create a super snazzy metallic chrome trippy thing. And we have some of the new open source Quen models at the top, Llama 4, Kimi K2, which is awesome and super fast at tool calling, especially with Grok. And then Claude kind of wiped the floor with Sonnet and Claude 4 Opus there, but this is fun. I'll show a little bit of, so this is the agent in the orchestrator again. It's been given an MCP tool server that runs out of touch. You can access it via cursor or anything that hits MCPs, but I'm trying to do all this stuff in touch now. So you start it creates the new GLSL operator. It knows a bunch of rules, and it has a very biased way to like code GLSL. And then I've done a bunch of logic to actually generate the uniform values for it, so I don't have to do that. And then it can also set the uniforms. And anytime it adds like utime, the tool is like, hey, you should put abstime.seconds in there as an expression. And then, so now after I added that, all the models are creating animating textures, which is super fun. That's that. So yeah, currently, what can they do? Like, it's not really a vibe coding tool in like the sense that it can't really, it's not designed to build your network or like generate a project or make an installation. But it is, what you can do with it is what I'm really interested to hear and see and now release. And yeah, that's why I'm trying to get them out there. But yeah, so they can do a lot, but it is entirely up to you. I do think, yeah, I don't know how like hype or bold I want to be, but I think there's a lot that TouchDesigner opens up that other systems that work with AI agents and these LLMs just simply can't do. Like you, with this, use 3 operators and it can be controlling your light system via Gemini Live, and you get like lighting changes from a headset instantaneously. So I really think TouchDesigner can be the brain. I don't know if it's the front end, but it feels like the back end. And everyone that builds with TouchDesigner is kind of like existing within this interesting space of like creatively building back-end systems. So I think we're in a unique position to kind of like make some really cool stuff with LLMs. And yeah. Live demo, I don't know. I did a couple other things, but what would be, I guess if I just go to mirrored. All right. Mirror my display. So I have a little guide for myself. Also, this agent has been listening to the whole thing and has been given a single parameter, and it's told to set the slide for me. I turned it off halfway through because it wasn't working that well, and I didn't test the setup. But for the first like couple slides, like that really long time I waited for the QR code at the beginning, it was updating. I could be polling faster. I didn't want to like spend like $3 in LM credits, so I'm only doing it every 10 seconds. But if I really wanted to go to like slide 5 and show off tool usage a little bit, it would do that. It would take a second for, there's also a chance that my transcript, because my MacBook is, oh, my transcript has been off this whole time. Oh, all right, so I just realized my transcript's been off this whole time, and I really want to go to slide 5. Is it gonna go? Oh, it went one forward, all right. Gemini is not performing. Oh, there we go, slide 5, thank you. But now bring me back to slide 19, I don't know. The point wasn't to actually have the live demo be at the end. Okay, that's slide 6. Oh, it is told to only go like forward and backwards by 1, which is, yeah. But, cool. How to get LOPS, what's next, questions? Yeah, so ideally I would be saying LOPS, you can download them right now on your phone. Well, that wouldn't work, but via Patreon. But I would say that within the next 24 hours, I promise that they'll be on Patreon, and all 65 new operators will be available. You can see them here. It's like, it isn't like these custom ops, which, yeah, tab wasn't, oh, I was not hitting the right button. But it brings up a little lot boy here, and you also got one here. There's a bunch of stuff that I've done. Let's just close this out. Here's a fun, you might recognize the demo of those GLSL shaders we saw earlier, but if I just rename this and, oh, yeah, start a new, let me make sure my MCP server started and start an orchestration task. Oh, error. Oh, it got an error. I'm still trying to do it. Task complete. Go again. See, this is what I get for doing a live demo. I didn't plan. Could not get tools. Great. So, some notes that I have to solve before I release this. Yeah. Now I've exited my full presentation, and I'm going to get really rambly if I don't wrap it up. But, here, let's just go back to this. Stop mirroring. Oh. Nice. Yeah, how to get LOPS. They'll be on my Patreon. I have a website that I'm going to pull up in a sec for documentation. Almost all the operators are fully documented here. You can see all the parameters. It's really pretty. And there's also things like the tool system, which tools and LOPS are something that you can totally define yourself. There's a little diagram. Oh, no. My scroll is not working. Everything about this MacBook Air. I think somewhere down here. Okay. Well, look at the documentation in case you're excited. I also have a website which, if you hit here, you can go to my website, and this has all sorts of links. Oh, that's what I should show. I've got some QR codes. And I've got one more thing to talk about, but before I say that, I think that kind of wraps up. Oh, what's next? I mean, I don't know. The LLM and the AI space is crazy, so I'll be probably releasing like 6 or 7 more operators over the next month that I haven't like even identified because it's going to be like a new model or a new process. I'm constantly making new things, and I'm excited to have people using the ones I've already made to like be able to kind of disseminate some new toys. And then, yeah, LOPS is entering an alpha period over the next month and a half maybe, and this will be on my $10 Patreon tier, and I have another tier higher, but I'm going to be clarifying some of the tiers in things, and then yeah, anyone that signs up for the $10 tier will be price locked, but that one's going to go up a little bit. And then yeah, excited to see what people build. Any questions? Can I get someone with that other mic, a mic runner?
You mentioned it real quick, but I was just wanted to ask, what's the hardware requirement for running LOPS?
So a lot of, it depends. If you want to run the models locally, that's a whole different discussion. Macs are kind of uniquely suited sometimes. If you have a decent Mac for running LLMs better than Windows, a lot of these things, like always, I do actually, let me stop mirroring for functionality. Oh. Oh no. Now I just switched myself. Short answer, light, because you can run all these models in the cloud. And then I'm running everything through TD Async IO, which offloads most of the processing, so your thread should also not be hurting. I've done a lot of TD Async tricks. I've also rewritten TD Async IO, and I'll probably release that separate from LOPS, but I have the ability to cancel tasks and the ability to see what is running. I have a whole other thing that I don't want to talk about, but it might involve a front end that you can control, touch, and run some stuff from, but yeah. I've been testing it on my Mac. There's 3 out of the 60 operators that are not supported on Mac, and those are the heavier, like diffusion or like text-to-speech, speech-to-text type of stuff. That's another thing. I was confused by one of the slides, actually, the visual. I have speech-to-text and text-to-speech for local and cloud for both ends. So you can start to create voice loops and stuff. Yeah. Let me try, no, mirrored. I mean, it's not gonna make any difference for you. But. Any other questions?
I'm wondering if you have any support for like non-chat slash assistant models. Like, can you work with base models in TouchDesigner, for example?
Yeah. You want it doesn't need to be instruction based. I mean, that's something I would, if it's not already working, I'll definitely make it work. It's like a very good time for feature requests. Not like right now, but like the next month. But yeah, and that's also something I'm very interested in because, well, the fine tuning is a whole other thing, but once the TD file format is changed and is legible text, these systems will slightly shift because you'll be able to like take a tox and look at it as text and then send it off to an LLM and have it load back into your network. I think there's a lot of strengths of what I've built that don't require you to read the whole freaking project file or the whole part of your network. And like LOPS are mostly tools to build with. So you're making things or exploring or researching things with LOPS. But yeah, to answer your question. I don't see much. This light's pretty bright, so.
Just quickly, does it also work in the experimental build?
Yeah. I actually accidentally opened it and was working in for a day in the POPs build, and then was really annoyed because that wouldn't open in the other build. So I had to like copy all my code changes and stuff. But it was totally working in POPs. Just the backwards compatibility of the project files screwed me a little bit there. I would say probably not everything, but most of it. There also might be a little, this is something I need to shout out to Joseph Pels for T3D, which is another operator family, and I took a lot of the logic that he's laid out to actually do the whole thing of like adding a operator family. So credit goes to him for a lot of that work, but I've kind of generalized it, and yeah, I'm not saying everyone should make their own op family, but it's more doable now.
Hi, I had a quick question about, could you explain a bit more about how the LOPS operators actually understand what's in your TouchDesigner project and are able to modify that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the agent is the main one. There's also Gemini Live, which I didn't really talk about, but this is a voice-to-voice bidirectional. You give it a chop and you get audio from an agent being like, oh, thank you. Or, I mean, yeah, it will say that. But both of these, let me see. Well, yeah, Gemini Live, you can give it an image, and that can stream like a screenshot every 1 second or you could go faster or slower. You can also send the image manually. Then the agent has the ability to listen to audio if it supports audio, which is actually very rare, mostly only a couple Gemini models. And then you can supply a top image as well. And then I have this idea of a context op, which might be, it's called context grabber. And this you can just add a shit ton of DATs and give them labels and it'll get the text content of that. There's also the ability, ooh, this is a good one to show off because it's slightly nerdier and in case anyone actually knows what's going on. So I've generalized the fast MCP library to just work in Touch. So you can write any sort of Python logic and that is supposed to run in Touch. So this is a Python executor, which from Cursor, I've been using this it gets all the error messages. It uses std out and in to grab those. But this can just run arbitrary code in Python and like kind of poke into your network. This is that one that I was using that places all the operators, and I was like, make a circle, no, make it bigger. So this, with the MCP stuff, you have the ability to write your own Python code and then run this from any chat UI, including LOPS or cursor or something.
Did you have to like make how did you make LLMs aware of TouchDesigner's like Python API, or had they already been trained on it in some way?
I've found a couple. I mean, it definitely helps when it's in TouchDesigner because it can get those errors for like placing the nodes. I have this thing which would be easier. It's called a tool debugger, and you drag your tool op onto the tool debugger, and you grab those tools. I do not like using a trackpad. Oh, and it's not working. Everything broke on my ride over. Oh, it's not running. Might be cool. So you can see the different tools that the LM gets, and this like shows the whole schema. I also, because it's fun, WebViewer, I built a Markdown mode in here. So this is exporting Markdown. Oh, that'll work. Text. So I can, oh, this is a weird bug with comps don't always view, but now I've got this very pretty Markdown with different themes and stuff. Let's go sunset. And then, yeah, so I have one that's analyze network, search operator types. So this is what I was saying. This is directly calling TouchDesigner's Python API in order to like use it like a fuzzy search to search through all of the available operator types, because it'll usually try to place the noise in the network, and it's actually noise top, capital T-O-P, and then it places the noise underscore top, and it's just like, and then it gives up, and it's like copy paste this stuff. But if you expose tools that give it the ability to search and find this information itself, the model is able to define the operator type. But yeah, take maybe one more question, and then I've also got that question form in case anyone wants to do that. Also chat with me after, but and I still have one more thing to show. I need to squeeze that in. Any more questions?
Yeah, I got a quick one.
Yeah.
You just showed all this work with how the agent can see your nodes and connectors. What's been your experience like vibe coding a network? I know you mentioned that wasn't the original goal, but I see all the pieces there.
Sorry, I heard your question. Unexplored, slightly. I, like a week ago, made the ability for it to search the ops and place the networks in the MCP server. And then I also have a dedicated, that's not even in my op list right now. I have a new one that I need to add to LOPS that is a tool, op network tool, that analyzes the network and does all the things that the MCP server does, but it's fancier because it's not locked behind MCP. But I'm excited to see what people try to even do. I've tried to build a feedback network. I was like, Gemini, build a feedback network. And it did it, but it sucked. So, and then it was slightly better when I reminded it to use ins and outs and actually make some sort of like cohesive pattern that would replicate an actual TouchDesigner network. I think those were the literal words I said. I was just like, hey, just try a little harder. But these things, like I was saying, with the new file format, are going to get easier to parse. And there's also not much data out there on TouchDesigner, like how people are using it. There's also the potential of some sort of another thing. Yeah. Analyze your usage of TouchDesigner, generate data, and watch how you use the program. Do that for 2 weeks, and you've probably got enough data to fine-tune your own personalized like art assistant that is trained directly off the way you work with that program. I don't have a lot for that yet, but that could be fun. All right, I got one more thing. In case, yeah, so a lot of that, like that was like a kind of almost out of nowhere thing. I'm sure some people had heard about LOPS, but most people have used the Stream Diffusion implementation that I put out like a year and a half ago now at this point, and it's been really cool to see all the ways that people use it. But like I was saying, it is very GPU intense and demands like a 24 gig big boy. So I've been working with a company. I guess Eric, if you wanna come up, I got like your slides, so got to do it. So I'm gonna have coming very soon, probably available to be tested even sooner than that, a full cloud backend for Stream Diffusion that's just built into the operator. And my buddy Eric has been doing a bunch of stuff in the space, has some stuff to share, but here is a little demo recording of it. It could be running on my Mac, but I was just like, I'm gonna simplify it, record it like I'm recording all the other stuff. But one fun thing that LivePeer has innovated is the multi-control net, all within TensorRT. So that you can see here. But yeah, it's been fun to jam on this, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So do you have the slide up for? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So hi everyone. I'm Eric, and I, like Lyle said, I work at LivePeer. I also host a meetup here at this exact place for Comfy UI. So if you're into like AI stuff, you should come to the meetup. But that's where I met Lyle at the Comfy UI meetup, the first one. Yeah. We've been building a lot of open source, like real-time AI tools for creativity, especially around Stream Diffusion and a few other projects around that. So definitely been playing with Lyle's Stream Diffusion TD operator. I'm actually curious, just by show of hands, how many people here use the Stream Diffusion TD operator? Okay, awesome. How many people have seen like a video on like Instagram or something about Stream Diffusion? And okay, a little more people. Okay, cool. So if you haven't played with it or haven't seen it, Stream Diffusion is a way to use AI to create real-time visuals using any kind of input. Either it's text input or video input or image inputs, and you can let the AI to kind of interpret information and create really interesting things. I think of it as like creative randomness, but you can control it, right? So here, yeah, good example of like, on the right you have the output, and on the left you have the input, and TouchDesigner is kind of the perfect tool for it because it gives you so much control in what you want to put into the model, right? And so, I've been playing with Stream Diffusion for a while, and I find that the best way to use Stream Diffusion is during the winter, because when it's really cold outside, you can get the computer really hot, and it's really nice. But if you don't have a GPU that's like a 4090, then it's a challenge. So we've built an integration that allows you to use Stream Diffusion on a remotely hosted GPU that's guaranteed to be like a 4090 or 5090, gives you really good performance. So that's been fun. And the other thing that we've done is our engineering team got like a little wild with Stream Diffusion and did a bunch of like improvements on the basic setup. So Ryan is not here. He should be here. Let's talk about his work. But yeah, a lot of so like TensorRT support for better throughput. So you can get about like 30 to 40% improvement in frames per second. Multi-control net, like Lyle showed a little bit here. So you can mix and match, say like between a depth map or an edge detection, all in the control, and you can kind of tweak the weights. There's also IP adapter, which means you can now use an image to control the style instead of just using the prompt, right? So it gives you a lot more control there. And then there's also SDXL, which is a much better base model and also kind of accelerated. That's coming very soon. Okay, here we go. And if you are interested in just using the service by itself, you can also get like raw API access, so you can like build applications with it if you want. Anyways, so now it's available for early testing. You can come and join the Discord and like test it and use it for free. So that's pretty awesome. So yeah, like if you scan the QR code, it'll lead you to the Daydream Discord, and there's like a TouchDesigner channel in there, so you can go, yeah, you can go hang out, and we'll host like weekly workshops to work on this stuff. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
It's going to be really cool. I've been able to do a lot of things with Stream Diffusion just as a one person, which is fun. But it's also not been my main focus recently, building some LOPS. So I'm really excited to like have a reinsurgency of like the open source space in the stuff and all the development and research. Pretty sure all of it that LivePeer is doing is open source. So that'll leak its way back into the local op as well. But yeah, these are all super exciting stuff. I'm gonna do my thing. I don't know which is my website and which is the documentation, but if you want to take a photo of these, neither of them go to my Patreon, but both of them have links to my Patreon. But yeah, that's the end of the talk. It's gone on way too long. Thank you all so much.
So we've actually got one more little thing. We wanted to, we were brainstorming something to give to Lyle as a little memento of launching LOPS officially, and Ethan had the amazing idea of getting you some official loppers.
Oh, that's cool. We want to do a wire cutting ceremony.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a little wire cutting
got
for the official launch of LOPS.
Oh, I was like, there's a lot of like HDMI wires and stuff.
I hope it works.
Thank you.
Can I get it all the way back? Is my computer gonna freak
And
out?
next up, we have a really, really incredible AV performance from Varsity Star. So stick around. We're going to get that prepped. And really, their set is amazing. I don't know if you can see a little bit of their setup here, but they do their whole configuration between TouchDesigner and Ableton. And it's a really, really cool piece. So super excited to get a chance to show it on this amazing canvas.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're still partying for a little bit and then might even go to a bar afterwards. But stick around, please. Real quick, go back to the LOPS slide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Woo. Now change it back.
That was. I feel like I just witnessed history.
All right, please put your hands together for Varsity Star. Give it up one more time for Varsity Star.
All right, that wraps up our evening. Thank you so much for staying a little bit later for the performance. Let's give it up once again for Varsity Star. Just a heads up for everyone, we are continuing to do these kinds of community events at ZeroSpace, really trying to bring together a community of creatives, technologists, artists, to collaborate, share new ideas. So we have upcoming events later in August. Tuesday, August 26th, we have a Comfy UI meetup, which we've been doing every month for the past few months now. And Thursday, August 28th, we have the first ever Unreal Engine meetup here in ZeroSpace as well. So we're going to send out a text blast on the Partiful link, invite with links to sign up for these events, and we hope to see you there. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
I think for another follow-up spot, we're going to start making our way over to Threes Brewing. They're going to be open for a little bit later, so if you want to grab another drink, we'll kind of make our way over there shortly. But feel free to, you can hang for a bit, but slowly. All right, thanks everyone. True. Threes Brewing is like just around the block from here. It's very, very close by. So if we